It's time to get sexy, so watch Secular Sexuality Live Thursdays at 7 p.m. Central. Visit tiny.cc/YTSS and call into the show at 512-991-9242 or connect to the show online at tiny.cc/callsex.
Hello, you beautiful humans, and welcome back to another episode of The Nonprofits, the show where we discuss news and topics of the day from a skeptical humanist perspective. My name is Cynthia McDonald, and today's topics are way doggy hot. And on this particular skeptocratic train, I am not doing it by myself. No, I am not. As you see, there are people with me. Yes, people, and more people. So let's introduce these people. To my far left, secular Rarity.
Hey.
How you doing?
I'm excited as always. There's a good group of people here, but not on this show, but there's a good group of people here. So it'll be fun.
Oh, the shade of it all so early in the show. So early. I was thinking that the shade was going to come around like the second segment from you, but it's all good. Moving right along. Normally, actually keeping us together in the background, but now up here in the foreground, doing his hosting, you dig, Mr. Jason Sherwood. Hello, Jason. How are you doing?
Oh, I get those delusions of adequacy, and I'm like, let's get in front of the camera.
Delusions of adequacy actually wake me up in the morning, Jason. How about that? And moving right along, I was waiting for Jason to come up with a quick quip, but that's okay. We're going to keep it moving. Moving right along. Joining us is a wonderful human being, one of our hosts that's actually on the ACA Discord, who hosts a myriad of different shows and topics and actually does the Meet the ACA crew and cast. This would be Kelley Laughlin. How you doing, Kelley?
I'm doing wonderful. You only think I'm a wonderful human being because you don't know me that well yet, Cynthia.
No, you're a wonderful human being because I Yabba Dabba said so. No, but you really are.
I'm actually honored to be here working with you.
Oh, thank you. And Kelley is one of the nicest people that one could ever meet. And even if any of you all that are watching us now get a chance to join the ACA Discord, which you should, you really, really should, because there's always yammering going back and forth on the Discord. Kelley does a wonderful meet the ACA news. I'm sorry, did I say news? Meet the ACA crew and cast, where he actually speaks with people who are on ACA shows, the cast members who happen to host and do all the stuff, and even the people in the background that make the doodads, the doohickeys, and the yabba-doo-boos actually go boop, boop, boop.
Yeah, if you'd like to talk to people and ask them how the sausage is made, you can come on and talk to people. It's a really great thing. I really enjoy doing it.
Indeed, and I love my sausage to be vegan.
That's fine.
Okay, well, I'm in the minority here. It won't be the first time, won't be the last, but it's all good. Well, everybody, this show is a product of the Atheist Community of Austin, a 501c3 nonprofit organization dedicated to the separation of religion and government and promoting positive atheism. Now, today, we're going to be talking about some things. Yes, we are. So the first segment, we're going to talk about Hope for Tomorrow, where kids walk out of a school-led Christian revival. They went bye-bye. Segment 2 is Faith in the Age of the Meta-Universe. No, just the metaverse. Not the universe, but the metaverse. We're going to be discussing that. Segment 3 is going to be Christian nationalism and the January 6th insurrection, because we never talk about that. And then finally, we're going to talk about vaccines that make you a cyborg. Yeah, sign me up for that, because I've been wanting to be a cyber person forever. And as with all of our shows, links to today's topics and the news we discuss are available in the description below. And a reminder that if you want to come into the show prepared, you can check out the nonprofit's Facebook fan page every Friday night for a list of the articles ahead of time. All right, so case all right. So we ready to go ahead and get this rolled on the show?
Yeah,
Let's do it.
absolutely.
I'm ready.
Let's do it. All right. So let's go for segment 1, where I am going to tell everyone to step, step, step in the right direction. Yeah. And Secular Rarity is going to take us in. So do that.
Yeah.
Please.
After that beautiful intro, though, Cynthia, I might fall out for a second, but we'll get back into it. If I start speaking in tongues, somebody stop me. But this is exactly a step in the right direction. So what we had was a public high school in West Virginia decided that they were going to do something that a lot of high schools do normally, where they have an event for the kids of a certain class or the kids of a certain focus or whatever it is. It's just that this how do we say this? Well, this had a bit of a different flavor. So it just so happened that, like, right in the middle of these kids all congregating in the auditorium, this fella gets up there and well, he has a religious revival. I mean, he just flat out starts preaching to these kids and attempting to convert them. And I think they had a baptism. I think they had some baptisms at the end of it, y'all. You know, the problem on top of that, though, is that apparently some of the kids couldn't leave. Some of the kids were forced to stay there. Now, the church that was a part of it says, hey, we didn't do this. The organization at the school reached out to us. And, the school says, well, it was voluntary. You weren't supposed to be there if you didn't want to be. But that's not what happened. What happened is they told a bunch of students, you have to be here and you have to listen to this guy preach to you. And I think a lot of us are familiar with what that preaching can be. And it wasn't great. I definitely didn't enjoy a lot of the things that he was saying. And truly, this is why, once again, and I'm so happy to be able to highlight this organization, but FFRF, y'all, it's an absolutely wonderful, wonderful organization. And, they definitely are here and stepping up. And I'm really glad that people were paying attention. And I'm glad that our students are knowledgeable enough on our Constitution and how our government is supposed to be run. So what do y'all think?
Excellent intro. Thank you very much, Secular Rarity, for bringing us into that. I'm going to football this over to Kelley, because Kelley had some really good feedback concerning this whole thing. So, Kelley, could you please go ahead and waylay on this topic?
When I first read this article, I was literally appalled. I could not believe that something like this could happen in a public school. I was really, really let down that the school administration would let this happen and that the teachers would have let this happen. I would have thought that they had them be able to opt out as supposedly they're supposed to do. I would have thought that the teacher would have asked people if they had belonged to another religion, which they didn't do. And I kind of have to get the feeling this was done purposefully, that they brought these kids in here on purpose. I think the whole article was about one Jewish kid in particular that had to sit through this Christian baptism. And I just can't believe that they would force this kid to do this. And it seems to me it was kind of prepared for that. Hey, maybe we can get this kid out of his religion and into ours. And I just couldn't see how that could be allowed in a public school at all.
Gross oversight for
And
the adults that were in the
yeah,
room, and it's horrible. But Jason has something to say about the Zoomers.
Well, and so I kind of bring this back to when I was going through high school, and a lot of my generation, we would talk about things that we didn't like about our school, dress codes changing, and I was going through high school during Columbine. Thankfully, I was nowhere near that school when that happened, but so we had a lot of fear and this, that, and going on, and just a lot of, but what these kids were going through, it's just like it's even worse. School shootings are up, which really doesn't have anything to do with this particular article, but it got me kind of like, oh, these kids are being more active, than my generation could ever be, because we were just like, oh, I want to be active, but I've got band practice, or I've got football practice, or I've got this, that, and the other thing, and life got in the way. And then I start reading further and further into this article, and I started getting more and more upset, because as great as those kids were who walked out of their class, and again, this was after the revival. This wasn't even during the revival, because they were literally locked in a room. It's amazing that they're still saying, no, we're going to get out. But then you get even further into just the massive dishonesty, and this pastor going, oh, we don't go to the kids, they come to us. And I'm thinking, no. You have kids in your congregation, and they're trying to play the whole big commission game that is so important to theists. Get them young, get them into those pews. And so the only way that they come to you is that they went there, came back, hit my mic, like I'm sure Greg is going to yell at me for later, and then it's so frustrating, and I'm like, are you absolutely kidding me on this? That you are going to go ahead and just make this whole situation completely uncomfortable with people of different faiths, and I'm sure that this is not an isolated incident, but once again we're seeing West Virginia, and we just recently had a friend of the show in Telltale practically run out on a rail because he was showcasing some of the things that his daughter found in a health class. So, West Virginia, you need to wake the fuck up.
As with the entire nation that allows anything like this to happen, when I first read the article, I thought if this could be a private school. And then as I read further, found out this was a public school. And I am baffled that a public school would allow a Christian revival to happen on property that is paid by taxpayers, where the law of the land is supposed to be separation of church and state, separation of religion and government, one of our founding principles here at the Atheist Community of Austin, and other organizations like Freedom From Religion. Shout out to Freedom From Religion, by the way. They do absolute great work. And they even wrote a letter concerning this whole matter. And part of it says that it is inappropriate and unconstitutional for the district to offer religious leaders unique access to preach and proselytize to students during school hours on school property. The district cannot allow its schools to be used as recruiting grounds for churches. And I'm really glad that they got together along with the American Civil Liberties Union of West Virginia and other organizations in order for them to protest this mishap, this overstepping of their of what the leadership has completely and obviously misused. Now, there's some people who would make argument that says that separation of church and state per se is not in the Constitution. But in 1833, there was a certain thing called this judiciary branch. I think you guys heard of maybe the Supreme Court. I don't know if anybody heard of it, you know.
It rings a bell.
Yeah.
Is that
you know.
related to SCOTUS?
Yeah, something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah. Yes. Or scrotum. Sorry, not Thursday. Anywho,
Thursday somewhere.
it's Thursday somewhere.
Thursday somewhere.
But by 1833, all states had disestablished religion from government, providing protections for religious liberty in the state constitutions. And in the 20th century, the U.S. Supreme Court applied the Establishment Clause to the states through the 14th Amendment. And today, the Establishment Clause prohibits all levels of government from either advancing or inhibiting religion. And if it is a public school that is being funded by taxpayers' dollars, guess what, West Virginia? That's a government institution. Yes, it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it totally is. But I'm going to go ahead and stop talking right now and go back to Sec Rare it of the tea to offer more tea to this body of content E.
Well, I won't have as much alliteration, I don't think, but that's not for a lack of trying on my part. Well, you know what? We'll do a whole episode just like spoken word poetry. Anyway,
Johnny, get on that, please.
Yes, please.
One of the really upsetting parts is, so when we put students in a school and we tell them that you have to be here from this time to this time, and these are the people that are in charge of you, that's really a powerful message when during those hours of the day we are advocating for a religious organization like this, and we are doing that by having this type of event. And I said in my notes, I would be uncomfortable with the Satanic Temple doing an event like this during school hours. It after school or before school, it is a public building, and as long as you go through the processes to follow the law to rent out the space, do your thing. But while students are supposed to be in class, this shouldn't be a religious, it shouldn't be a my side, your side. Like, look, we're all going to one of these days, most likely, be so old and confused about whatever the newest social media is, right? Or uncontrollably pooping our pants. And we're going to need the younger folk to be both studied in compassion and medicine. And how the hell do we do that if we're constantly having these religious events at school during their hours of learning? So I wouldn't be comfortable with any religious institution doing it. You know, let's take the opportunity to just talk more about, I don't know, math or reading. I mean, we could use
science.
Or
science.
Science
Would be great.
Yeah, I dig the science.
Yeah.
But even check this out, guys. Now you all know this is West Virginia, and if the religious
Almost
event,
heaven.
Almost heaven, almost
West Virginia. Yeah.
It's almost
Blue Ridge
heaven.
Mountains you're talking about.
Yeah. Shenandoah Valley.
Okay. It's okay. Can you get coffee
river.
from there? Can you
No.
get coffee? No? Okay, then it's not heaven. So dig this. if it were another religious event, like say for instance, if it was an imam that wanted to do let's say prayer, one of the times for prayer
Oh, the
for
state would explode.
the teachers,
Just
the
if it
states, the parent, everybody would
Yeah.
have a freaking cow if that was the case.
if it had just been a rabbi for the one kid, for the one Jewish kid, they would have been having a
Yes.
cow.
They would have had a cow. All these things, like if we know it's, oh, don't let the Satanic Temple come up in there and try to do. Oh my gosh, that would have been fucking get it, and you know it. You know, so I don't understand. This is another portion that I don't understand. If this is also a public school, I know that part of their social studies is civics and constitution, because all children in the United States have to take this in order for them to be able to graduate 8th grade and go into high school. Where were the teachers that are supposed to be teaching constitution and civics that were to say, hey guys, guess what? We can't do this. It's kind of against the law. We could get in trouble. Did no one thought about this? You got guys, what you got to say about that?
I think
That's-
they are willing to, forego a missed answer or two. But here's now, I'm not going to talk for this panel. I'm not going to talk for all atheists. But I would say that, religion can be taught in school as long as it's taught in world history, and not just one religion, but all of them. Talk about, Judaism and Muslim and Buddha, and Shinto, and, go down to the Aztecs and, some of the things that they believed in. You don't have to go into the why. That's for the individual religions to go into, but go into that, this is when they, came about. This is what, a basic breakdown of what they believe in, and then move on to the rest of the world history. But don't just, don't have a revival. Do not have don't trap kids into things that they don't believe in. And I've had a couple of assemblies where it's like, no, I don't believe in this, and I would try to stand back. No one would follow me, which, whatever, it is what it is. If you don't feel comfortable with something, you do what these kids did. You zoom right out of that classroom.
Kudos to them.
Kudos
One of the
to
things too that got me about this was the people who organized it, who were so one-sidedly blind to the fact that what they were doing was so good for the community too. I know the
Mhm.
minister said something about when he looks in a neighborhood like the one the school was in, and he sees all the kids with anxiety and depression and addiction, and what they need is more of the Lord. And when I see,
No.
then when I see that stuff, I think, well, what these kids need are more counselors, therapists, social programs. And when it comes right down to it, isn't anxiety, depression, and addiction, isn't that all part of high school anyway?
Hello. Hell fucking hello. Yes, it is. Yeah, you don't need the Lord. You need wraparound services. Remember,
Yeah.
there is still a whole push to actually have school counselors, psychologists, social workers, ding to my industry, to be in schools to help kids go through the pains of adolescentness.
I had an amazing social worker when I was in high school, and she did get me through some of my own making issues. But yeah, we need more of that. We need, because sometimes students can't talk to their parents in the same way that they can talk to somebody else, because they're too close to the situation. They can't talk to their friends as they can talk to somebody else. They can't talk to religious leaders, or they need something to kind of like, or they need someone to be a sounding board that isn't judgmental, that can compartmentalize.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. They and with that even being said, talking to friends, because you can't really talk to your parents about everything. I know majority of time talking to my friends, we got everything wrong.
Oh yeah.
That's why we need more education and not these damn revivals.
Hello.
Right.
Hello. I even wanted to give a wink and a nod, but I'll use that as my wrap up towards the preacher, Mr. Pastor Nick Walker of Nick Walker Ministries. But we're going to go ahead and do our final thoughts on this. I'm going to go ahead and start with you, Secular, since you brought us in. You can go ahead and start the wrap up to take us out.
Yeah, I think this one's really easy. I really do. This is one of those situations where you look down at it for a second and you go, yeah, you know what? School time is for school and church time is for church. And that's it. It's easy.
Full fucking stop. Indeed. Jason, you're next.
I'm just amazed that these kids were able to stand up for their rights, stand up for what they believe is right, and stand up for their friends who are not the same religion as them. Kudos to each and every last one of them, and shame on you, West Virginia. Please do better.
Indeed, indeed. And Kelley.
One of the things that really got me about it was one of the parents said that this is what the kids want. This is a step in the right direction. A little bit ironic for this segment of the show, but I started thinking to myself, if they're walking out, is this really what they want? I mean, are you really speaking for the kids, right? Because it didn't seem to me that she was, if they're walking out of the classroom.
Right.
So again, it's just like this one-sided idea that we are right about this, and there's nothing else, that there's no other opinions that can be had on this. So, yeah.
Yes, I agree with every last one of you. And I will just say this, that for my final thoughts on this, I want to particularly address the preacher that led the revival, who is 25 years old. Not to crap on his age, because obviously we've met a bunch of smart, intelligent, wonderful 25-year-olds that even work with us at the ACA. But one of the things that I would love for Pastor Walker to do is to go back to the Bible, and I want him to read Proverbs 19:2, which says, "Even zeal is no good without knowledge, and he who hurries his footsteps misses the mark."
And that's biblical.
Biblically speaking, of course, yeah.
Biblically
Biblically
speaking.
speaking.
Biblically speaking. All right, guys, great talk. So we're going to go ahead and move on. But before we do that, because of you, faithful, faithless viewers, and your dedication of spreading the good news of the faithless nonprofits, we have now more than 10,000 subscribers. So thank you to both our veteran subscribers, and welcome to our new subscribers. Welcome y'all. This is a fantastic milestone. And once we actually hit the 10,000 subscribers mark, we are able to do fundraisers. So if you're watching us now, and if you haven't subscribed yet, you can do so now, like right now, by hitting the subscribe button. And then you can also click on the bell so that you can get a notification every time that we actually premiere another episode, which is always on Sundays at 3 p.m. Central Standard Time. And once you subscribe, hit the like button and set all those wonderful things on, and make sure that you share the videos with your friends, your neighbors, your coworkers, your unliked neighbors, anyone and everyone, so that they can also get more info on how we do deep dives and research on everything that we do, because we are scholars. Something like that. Anyway.
Close.
But also close. We like to act scholarly. How about that?
There you
Okay,
go.
very good. Very good.
Okay.
Now, going back to the fundraisers, if you actually look at the window below people, there's going to be an area where you can click on to give to the ACA. And every dollar that you actually give to us actually helps us promote positive atheism. It goes to building a better network of shows and also helps us to bolster messages like don't have revivals on public school property during school time. Yeah, stop that shit. Stop that shit now. And I don't know if you guys are aware that we do have another YouTube channel. Did you know that? Did you? Did you? Well, you should. So check out the Atheist Experience Network, a channel where you can find all the ACA shows in podcast form. Subscribe at tiny.cc/AEN podcast to listen to the episodes of the nonprofits, the Atheist Experience, Secular Sexuality, Truth Wanted, and all of our other ATA shows so you don't miss a single episode. And on that note, there's no note here. There's no note. We're just about to move on to the next segment, which is a strange but true.
Strange but true.
And it looks like I get to lead this one. So the article for this segment is a little bit different than we normally feature. Normally we feature something that is purely secular, but this article from the Associated Press is actually kind of a positive for something that a LDS person has decided to create, a virtual reality tour through theism. And I gotta tell you, this one, it kind of scares me a little bit. So while it's positive for them, it seems like, again, going back to the West Virginia thing, we're getting them young. So we're talking about virtual reality worshiping, and you grab your headset, and in this case, they touted the Quest 2 because, oh, look, it's the cheapest one out there and accessible and all that good stuff. And you can experience religious text, like you can fly through it. You can go into, you could probably go into Noah's Ark. You could probably, see Jesus up there, up on the cross, which, is a disturbing aspect.
Very.
Yeah. And like I said, this is supposed to be like a feel good, it's like, oh, for these trying times when you can't gather because of COVID, or if you have social anxiety, it still fosters a community. And we can all agree that fostering community is great, but if you're fostering a community based upon, lies and, unfounded, scripture, is that really good? I mean, could you then, with this virtual reality, show heaven and show how great it would be to die? It's really, really disturbing to me. But then again, I could potentially be thinking a little bit too deeply into this. What does everyone else think?
This is weird.
It is.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
It
Yep.
is strange. It's true.
And true, yeah.
How do you? Okay, I'm gonna be real blunt. How the fuck do you sit in a virtual reality church and still be like, oh yeah, ghosts and spirits and gods and angels and all that? Where's the angel in the virtual reality headset? Do you know how much science went into that? Like, that being said,
It's a ghost in the shell.
I guess, yeah, that's prophecy right there, folks. I mean, I'm glad that people have community. I'm glad that people can get together and work through tough times. I understand exactly where you're coming from, Jason, and I think it's a really good point, is that it kind of seems really quickly this could get dicey, and not in a way that's just like, oh well, okay, maybe they just, they waste so much time in the virtual church that they stop seeing friends, and that's important. But yeah, if they're walking you around heaven telling you got to get here soon, that's not a good message.
Gosh, it's just weird, and this is the reason why I find it weird. And Kelley, I wanted you to weigh in, but I'm just going to throw this out there because according to the article, with this whole virtual reality that was created because I believe that the church that they were referencing was actually seeing a decline in attendance. So they had this great idea to set up a VR in order for them to be able to get more followers. I think that they said that they actually created a community of over like hundreds of members now that was able to come to VR church, and it was like making the whole Christian experience, I believe, come alive per se. And they call it like a spiritual experience. But I found spiritual, the word using spiritual, so elusive. And the reason being is because when you think of the definition of spirituality, I said this in my notes that I found like several different definitions of spiritual or spirituality, and they were all different. One was relating to or affecting the human spirit or the soul as opposed to material or physical things, but the soul or a human spirit has never been proven to actually exist. Or the other one was the recognition of a feeling of sense or a belief that there is something greater than oneself or something more than being a human being, or more than a sensory experience, or even relating to religion or to a higher power. But I believe that the issue that I'm having with this here is that when it became a whole VR experience, it stopped being spiritual.
You got a point there.
Kelley?
I mean, I'm assuming that they can find their own spirituality out of it anyway. People are going to define spiritual they want to, any way they define it. What first got to me was, and now I'm an old person, obviously you can see my face, and I would, this was something that even if I was a Christian, I don't think would appeal to me, and it made me wonder who they were really reaching out to, and who are these hundreds of people that they're bringing into the church. And it seems to me that they're like, again, they're like fishing for a younger audience, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not so sure if that's going to work with them when we have so many younger people turning away from the church. So it seems to me kind of self-defeating to make this technology to attract a young, what I would think would be attracting a younger audience, right? While the younger audience is walking away from the church at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
That was one of my big things that I thought about it. And then I thought, now if everybody's not going into church and they're not sitting in the pews, how's the church going to pay for their building? Where's the property taxes coming from now?
Mm.
And are they charging for this virtual reality experience? And how much are they charging? Is this now? Yeah,
Yeah.
right. And that was
Yeah.
one thing I started wondering about, is because this is going to definitely put a big chip in the money that the church is bringing in if the people aren't coming in, right?
Can you tax exempt virtual reality church?
I don't. I
I
mean,
don't see
Well,
why
I
you
guess it
yeah,
would
couldn't.
this
depend. Yeah, I guess it
it,
would
it
depend
if it
on the
goes through,
organization.
yeah, if it goes through a
Right.
particular store, no,
Okay.
because not every digital way. But one thing I do want to, you know, iterate on this is that this actually started in 2016, so it did start before the pandemic.
Right.
As everyone was saying, it started because their numbers were declining.
Right.
And so it did kind of set them up for a situation where, you know, a pandemic or other illnesses. And Kelley and Cynthia, I know, you know, you like to play the the age card in this, but there are older people who are enjoying this as well, because they're able to go to church, but not actually go to church because they're confined to a wheelchair or whatever. The last few years of my grandma's life, she had to watch on TV.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm kind of wondering how different that is from that, other than you have Master Chief and a giant banana in the pews.
Oh yeah, because they can use avatars.
I did like
They
that.
could use
though.
avatars.
I did
They can
like
use
that. That'd be really fun. I gotta admit, I'd go to church for that. Like, I mean,
to see what everyone avatar, what they choose.
Could you imagine an entire row of pews of just Master Chiefs? You know, just sitting there brooding, going,
or like
No.
entire row of like emojis.
yeah.
oh,
I mean, oh.
Okay, so when my mom was sick, even like when COVID happened and my mother's church stopped having services as far as like people actually coming to the church, they went directly to an online platform. And my mom used to watch church via Facebook because they would actually broadcast the sermons and things of that nature on their Facebook page. And they would have their Bible studies and people would gather via Zoom, which a lot of churches went to that platform once we had such a high infection rate, just to keep people safe. Now, all those other weirdo doohickey, I don't want to believe the science and I don't want to believe that COVID is real type preachers who's mega churches,
mega churches especially.
Craiglock actually having church open in front of people. And
Excuse me.
Oh man, we should drink some more water,
you know,
Jason.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, we really should drink more water. Matter of fact, let me go ahead and get a sip myself. And while I'm doing that, you know, if anybody else wants to chime in on this, mask mandates not even being followed. Oh my goodness, I just second rarity.
So weird.
Something.
So weird.
Something.
Well, I think you were touching on a good point for sure, which is, you know, a lot of the really, what I would say, offensive churches, they're probably not likely to be a part of this new wave, this new kind of, you know, where are we going with church? What are we doing next with our spirituality and stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Which I will say, I guess, if I have to live in a world where religious organizations are regularly gathering large banana avatars and dinosaurs and Master Chiefs together to talk about God, I'm glad that it's these types of churches. But at the same time, yeah, it'd be cool if that wasn't a thing. Like, yeah, I'd be okay with that.
Well, I don't know. How y'all feel about church holodecks? I mean,
I just want a holodeck, okay? I don't care if you know.
Holodeck.
Yeah.
Just give me a damn holodeck already. It's the 21st century.
Yeah, like, you know, having hollow sweets. I just, you know, Quark can run one. You have to get your gold press platinum together in order for you to be able to pay for time. But I'm just saying, you know.
I thought this idea might work for us too, in the fact that people, in my experience, people are pretty much inherently lazy. And if you don't have to go to church, you just might not go to church. And while people aren't forced to go to church, there's this kind of social stigma that you have to show up every Sunday and see everybody to make sure that you're the good person in the neighborhood. And I was wondering how this all would play into that idea too, you know. So that was an interesting thing that I was thinking about.
Well, I tell you, you would save so much money on Sunday best clothes. You're totally
right.
Yeah.
Right, but would people know it was you when you showed up looking like the giant banana? That's the whole thing, you know.
I'm telling you.
Oh my God. I want to just be the emoji. I want to be the laughing emoji with the eyes just crying out. So like every time that the pastor would like make a sermon and like say something like very fantastical in the Bible, it would just be me going.
So who's that? Is that Matt Powell, who has a giant inflatable banana in his backyard that he calls Dr. Peel? Yeah, that's the avatar that we need to have in that church.
Yeah, yep. Let's make it happen. I believe that all of us are going to join VR Church and just pick the most ridiculous avatars that we can, just to say that we showed up, and hopefully we will give the metaverse something that it never experienced before. I don't know. I'm just saying things right now. But let's go ahead and get some final thoughts. Jason, I'm going to start with you since you brought us in.
So, we need to watch how we do things. We can't have any kind of call to action. However, if we're going to have a virtual reality church, could we have an anti-apologist type of VR situation, show like a real scale Noah's Ark and try to fit all those things, all the animals in, even in the baby animals. Oh, they were just eggs or whatever. We'll still try to fit all that in and just fail so miserably. If we can get our atheist programmers on that would be wonderful.
All right. Well, you know what? We got some in the background that's even giving us instructions as we speak. So Greg, get on that. How about that? Okay.
A little out of his wheelhouse, but
there's a YouTube video for that. Kelley.
I really don't know. This one was just over my head, to be honest with you. The idea of the giant banana is just stuck in my head now. I can't think of anything else.
Once you see it, you can't unsee it.
Yes.
Oh, my face hurts. Secular Rarity.
I've been thinking about for the last few minutes, just like a group of people joining one day for a session, and then the pastor being like, hey, do you want to see what it was like back in Jesus's time? And then them, being transported back virtually, just be like, oh my God, this is terrible. Like, this is just horrible. Like, why would we want
Yeah, give them an actual taste of what it was like to live in those days.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Who would want to do that? It is a strange but true. And this is so strange and so weird. All I can think of is giant bananas, VR rooms that should be holodecks, and Quark actually making people pay gold plus platinum in order for them to be able to experience it. And those are
tithe and gold plus platinum.
Yeah, just tie it all in gold plus platinum. In lieu of tides. Well, let's take a break from our conversation. Giant bananas, oh my gosh. So if you didn't tune in to the other ACA shows last week, here is what you missed.
Recognize aspects that you might otherwise be completely unfamiliar with. Like, how many people in the last 20 minutes learned the word Fudenaria and suddenly discovered that, oh goodness, maybe I need to open up another tab.
Because we grew up in evangelicalism, we want to just tell everyone now, like, I'm an atheist, because we were used to having beliefs where all we did was proclaim our beliefs, and we were supposed to preach and proselytize. And so it's hard to deconstruct and lose that mentality of having to share.
I don't know how common sharing bodily fluids was in any of those types of rituals.
Yeah, I mean,
there was some strange stuff, but nowadays this type of stuff is generally confined to the realm of some extreme sexual fetishes.
Or Sunday Mass.
It's like saying the King of the United States has a beard. Well, until you show me that there's a King of the United States, the proposition's false. But you go, oh, the King of the United States doesn't have a beard. That proposition's also false. Wait a second. He either has a beard or he doesn't have a beard. How can they both be false? Well, they're both false because there's no King of the United States.
How old do you think our solar system is?
Not more than tens of thousands of years. I mean,
oh my!
They have an exact date.
Okay, well, you're wrong about that then.
Let's go to segment 3. And Kelley, I believe you're going to take us into this one.
Yeah, I am. I'll tell you, I was not expecting to get a novella to read the first time I was on Nonprofits, but sure enough, you hit me with one. And this was a collection of articles about the Christian Nationalist movement and the things that leaders and organizations did leading up to the insurrection of January 6th, and how much Christian symbolism was apparent on the 6th. And if anybody has seen any of the clips or any of the photographs, it's pretty obvious how much of this was there. And I want to note that Christian nationalism is not Christianity, but it uses the symbols of Christianity to create this hyper patriotism that's really toxic. I mean, obviously, because we've seen what it led up to on the 6th. Mm-hmm. And I took a real deep dive into this. It's been something I've been following for a while. I'd like to have somebody else take a quick crack at it before I really get into it. Jason, what about you? You got anything to say about it?
Yeah, so I actually live not too far from DC. I am in Maryland, and I was actually on the road, one of the many roads going into DC. And, again, we're in the middle of the pandemic, and I knew that the verification of the vote was happening, and I didn't really think too much of it. But I did see a lot of out-of-state plates. Traffic was much heavier than it was previous days. And it dawned on me, it's like, wait a minute, wait. I've been hearing that people want to go down to DC to do something. And there was a part of me that I'm just like, what if I just turned this wheel, just wrenched it over, and caused a massive car pile up all the way back? How much would I be saving and all that? And it wasn't until hours later when I saw the first news reports, where I saw a government building that I was working next to in full lockdown. I'm like, okay, I'm going to leave early before this turns into an even bigger thing, because I'm too close to this. I'm too close to this. So I was scared. I was absolutely scared that day. They erected a damn gallows on the mall.
Yep.
What did people think was happening? Yeah. And the sheer denial, the sheer, it wasn't us. They got in front of the cameras. They gave their names. They showed their symbols. This wasn't false flag. This was the people. This was the people, and people who were confused, people who were scared about so many different untruths. And the sheer amount of confusion, and it was insane. And this is something that we're going to be picking through for decades.
Yeah.
We're going to try to be answering questions for decades.
Yeah, I agree with that. Well, but Kelley, before you go into your deep dive, Secular Rarity, you want to go ahead and chime in?
Yeah, I'll be quick, because I think I think Jason's story and Kelley's deep dive and Cynthia has a lot of fantastic stuff. I'm just going to really take the opportunity to say to all the viewers out there, I mean, we often tell you about the articles beforehand. We they get posted Fridays, and we often say, hey, don't take our word for it. Let me seriously tell you, take some time. It's a big document, but it is worth it. There are some of the best individuals out there writing on this, and it was a fantastic, fantastic chance for us to show what we can do as non-religious and religious organizations when we really give a shit about making sure our country functions for all of its citizens. Because this was a joint effort.
Right.
And again, just read it. Take the time. It may take a little bit longer than some of our other articles, but it is so worth it.
Yeah, I totally agree. And it was actually a joint effort between theist and non-theist to actually put together a exhaustive content concerning Christian nationalism and the correlation to what led up to the insurrection on January the 6th. It was actually two entities that worked together. It was the Baptist Joint Committee for Religious Liberty and our friends at the Freedom from Religion Foundation, also Christians Against Christian Nationalism. And they even did a talk. I even watched it because I get newsletters and information from the Freedom from Religion Foundation, where they brought different writers that put together the articles to give their takes on it. And that link will also be in the show notes. It's about a little bit over an hour, but it's really good, and I definitely would encourage everybody to watch it. But I'm going to go ahead and pass this back on to Kelley so that you can go ahead and give us some splaining. You got some splaining to do.
I got some
Kelley.
splaining to do, huh?
You do. You do.
Well, I really
those other guys have some splaining to do. But
yeah, right. They're the ones who really need to be splaining stuff.
True.
Our Andrew Seidel wrote two of the sections of this. I'm a big fan of Andrew's, so I really got into it. And one of the things I didn't realize beforehand, before I read this article, is that there had been a rally called the Let the Church Roar rally. And Andrew wrote about it as if it was a one-day event. And I started taking a deep dive into it, and I read several blogs that were written by people who were part of these events. And this wasn't just a single-day event. The Let the Church Roar rally went on for almost 3 weeks, and they had a lot of there was a lot of Proud Boys are out there protecting them from the people. And every day they marched on the Capitol building. Every single day they got together, 150 to 200 people every day, more on the weekends, and marched straight through the wall to the Capitol in a very militaristic way. So this was sort of like rehearsals for January 6th, even though it was just a small handful of people compared to January 6th. And it makes you wonder if these were the people who were really leading the crowd. And I can't say that they were, but there were people out there being groomed to do this. The Million MAGA March was another thing that led up to this. And there was a lot, again, this was not a religious thing like the Let the Church Roar March, but again, we had all this Christian symbolism that was involved in it. We had the Proud Boys out there again, the 3%ers that had to protect the marchers, right? Because we're going to have the BLM protesters were going to come and harass them, or at least they thought it, or at least they claimed. I don't know where they ever got those ideas.
Or Antifa.
Yes, and I was going to mention them next. It was BLM and Antifa who was doing it all, and they had to be on their guard. And there was a lot of televangelists on TV who were really supporting this thing. I think you mentioned Rick Wiles or Greg Locke, and Rick Wiles. his name is escaping me right now. The guy with the laugh, ha 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 ha.
Copeland, I think, right?
That's
Yes,
Copeland.
Kenneth
Yeah,
Copeland. Thank you
Kenneth
very
Copeland.
much.
Yeah.
Both
He's-
my brain cells got stuck together for a second. But there was this big push amongst Christian people to delegitimize this election, as if God wanted Trump to be the president. And I have to wonder, is the American electorate that powerful that they can't beat God? I was really surprised at the idea that they really thought that somehow God had been cheated and by letting Biden win this election. And sure enough, they did feel that way, and they really, really, really pushed it.
They still feel that way.
Yes,
they
yes,
do.
they do. Right,
Yeah,
they really do.
This sentiment has not left the land at all.
And then at the Million MAGA March, they had a lot of right-wing political leaders who came out. They also came out for the Let the Church Roar rally. Michael Flynn, Ali Alexander, who organized the Stop the Steal rally on January 6th. Stuart Rhodes was there, the leader of the Proud Boys, who I can't figure out if that guy's smart or not. He graduated from Yale Law School, but a couple of years ago he shot his own eye out. I can't figure out if the guy's intelligent or not.
Oh boy.
Wow.
So one of the things that I was I kind of was sad to see that Andrew left out of the article is in May of 2020, there was a takeover of the Michigan state capitol where they were fully armed, and we had a lot of the same stuff that was there. I remember watching it live on TV. I'm from Michigan. And one of the people was carrying a sign that said, "Even the Pharaoh freed the slaves during a plague."
Ironic.
Yeah.
A little
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah.
Well, and they didn't just march on the Michigan Capitol, but they wanted to kidnap your governor.
They did.
Yes,
Yes, they did. Yes,
Sure
they
did.
did. I was going to mention that a lot of the people who organized that protest, that they were actually involved in the kidnapping plot. So, yeah. And you gotta, I still cannot fathom the idea that these people really thought that they were going to get away with this, that God really wanted them to take over the Capitol. And I kept thinking that isn't a big Christian saying, be in the world, but not of the world.
Right.
And I can't think of any way you could be more of the world than be involved in something like this, right?
What about
I mean, when you're picking your cherries, you gotta pick the right ones, apparently.
Exactly. Obviously, that one is not ripe enough, Kelley.
Well, I was thinking render unto Caesar, right? I mean,
What is
that's
Caesar?
right.
Render unto the Lord what is the Lord.
That seems a little.
Christians, read your Bible, damn it!
Yeah.
Oh God.
Read it so you can laugh at it and then leave it.
Right. Well,
I
maybe
don't
they're
remember
afraid. Oh, I'm
Go
sorry.
ahead,
Go ahead,
Cynthia. I'm
Kelley.
sorry. No, you go ahead.
No, I was just going to say maybe if they're afraid, if they read the Bible, they're going to become atheists. I know that's how most of us are atheists. Maybe I don't know. But go ahead, Kelley.
I was going to say, I know there's another passage in the Bible, and forgive me for not knowing exactly where it is and exactly what it says, but it says that to obey the leaders because they wouldn't be the leaders of the country if God hadn't put them there.
That's right.
Yeah,
right?
Supposedly, God has ordained a leader, so God ordained Biden, but that's not what they. Just the other day, I saw a Jeep that had impeach Biden. Of course, there's no follow-up information on that, and that 45. I still cannot say his name. Is their president. And when Hillary lost against 45, I felt ill. I really did. But I had to accept that he was the leader of the land because the electorate said so. I had to accept that W. Bush was the leader of the land because the electorate said so.
Well, not.
Oh, okay.
Not quite on that one.
Look,
that was payback for Kennedy.
That's.
And you're from Chicago. You should know.
we could go back and forth on that one, but let's just, for argument's sake.
Sure. Continue.
Yes.
All right, gotcha.
Let's say, argument's sake, that the electorate did decide that. Regardless, because again, the electorate. Well, we can have some arguments for what happened with the 45th president. But regardless, we had to accept that, and we did accept that. We hated it. Don't get it. I certainly hated it, and I'm not going to speak for everybody. I certainly hated it, but I had to accept it, and hope that in 4 more years that people would see that the emperor has no clothes, and sometimes literally, that we would go ahead and take care of this. And thankfully we did. Thankfully the electorate did come out, and hopefully we don't, hopefully we don't try to get somebody worse in, whatever happens in 3 more years.
I keeping some of my politics to myself as far as like who is in leadership or anything like that. I'm going to go back to the content itself, because I know that we cover Christian nationalism a lot in our past shows. Matter of fact, the last show that I conducted, we talked about an opinion piece concerning Christian nationalism versus democracy and how you cannot have both. And even though that there is a lot of different things that I may not necessarily agree with that's happening in the administration right now, and I make it plain because I believe in civic engagement. I believe in writing senators. I believe in writing Congress people. I believe in, if there is something that you want to either advocate for or you want to be against, that it is important as a voter, as a United States citizen, to make your voice heard. So, and I'm not going to tell people what to do, but I do believe in being engaged with our government, because we put them there, right? We are the ones that give them the job, so they are answerable to us. But regardless, this sentiment concerning Christian nationalism, specifically white Christian nationalism, is very scary to me, because what the fearful part for me is that it's not just a bunch of randos getting together saying that we hate Biden, we hate Pence, we want Trump, COVID is nothing, masks are against my freedom, etc., etc., etc. But there's a lot of other loaded sentiments that come with identifying as a Christian nationalist. I talk about the work of Robert P. Long a lot, and also the work that he has done with PRRI and gathering information concerning people who are religiously affiliated. And what he has gathered, and also some of the work that even Andrew Whitehead and Samuel Perry have done, and some of the other ones who were contributors to this work, is that they really were able to capture some of the ideas that Christian nationalists have. Like, a lot of them believe, like you all mentioned, that Biden is not the president, Trump is. A lot of them have a tendency to have racist viewpoints. A lot of them are people who believe that women should not have control over their bodies. A lot of them believe that teaching critical race theory, which is not being taught in schools, I say that every show, is dangerous, and that we shouldn't be teaching like real history. But the thing about it is that, going back to the people who are together, they are CEOs, they're business people, they're elected officials. Remember, there were Congress people from states that was from different parts of the United States that were participating and going live on social media, showing they are storming the Capitol, actually committing treason. But some of them kept their jobs and some of them didn't. But this is also a group that is extremely organized. They're also taking over state governments and municipality governments that directly affect us. Like the laws from CRT are not coming from anywhere. The laws that are banning abortions are not just coming out of the blue. Like this is stuff that's been planned over and over again, and a lot of it is at the behest of this group, and it's very concerning to me that we don't, and this may just be me projecting, but I don't necessarily feel that we have an organized body that's against this enough. Like, yes, I applaud Freedom from Religion Foundation. I applaud them. I applaud also, the ACA and the work that we do. I applaud the Satanic Temple for some of the work that they do, but we need more, and we need more people that are concerned about this, because it's not correct nor right for this one-sided, hyper-focused group to be taking over the United States sentiment and how we're governed as a people. That's not democracy. It's ruling by fear. It's ruling by bad faith, and we need to do more. So that's my call to action. And about, if you're concerned about this type of stuff, that's when we really need to be engaged. And I mean, like, we had a lot of people coming out to the presidential elections, but guess what, people? There's a down ballot. You have state senators, you have state congress people, you have mayors, you have city council people. Like, all of those people are judges. All of those people are very much so directly involved with how you are governed. And if they share this sentiment, a pity for all of us.
Those local officials are even more involved in how you're governed.
That's correct.
The mayor and the city council will affect your life 40 times more than the president of the United States will. And it's very important to get out there and vote in those local elections. Run in the elections, run for school board, run for the county board.
Yeah, run. Exactly. So you won't have like people doing revivals at your kids' schools. Just saying.
Right.
One of the last things that I want to say is that never in America's history has another nation's flag flown in our capital in anger, and yet a nation that lost a war that no longer exists except in the hearts and minds of a few misguided people and many millions of misguided people, that was taken into the capital in anger. That was flown in the capital of anger. That to have that be allowed is demonstrably one of the worst things that can happen to us. That is not hyperbole. That is what is going on.
That's right. And that's a mic drop moment for Jason. He just wrapped us up, and we're just going to go ahead and go right into shit internet apologists say.
Shit internet apologists say.
And they be saying some shit. Let's talk about the shit that been said about this apologist right here. Whew. So this comes from our friends at rightwingwatch.org, who post a lovely video of Dr. Tenpenny, child, 2 pennies and a 2 pence of more shit that internet apologists say that could be counted. So Dr. Tenpenny is out there again, y'all, and she is claiming that COVID-19 vaccines are designed to create quantum entanglements between those who take them and the internet in an effort to turn humanity into transhumanist cyborgs. Let that sink in, y'all. If you have gotten the vaccine, according to Dr. Tenpenny, you are going to turn into a transhumanist cyborg. Basically, you're going to turn into a Cyberman. You're going to turn into a Borg.
I wish a motherfucker would.
You're going to turn into all of those things because you took the vaccine. Matter of fact, I even got a chance to even watch the video that she put on Twitter, and Right Wing Watch actually posted this as well. She said that COVID vaccines are creating a quantum entanglement between those who take them, and that the artificial intelligence that hook you up to the Google credit scores and the Diamatrix and all of those things. And her answer, y'all know what her answer is to the matrix, the Diamatrix, the D. Y'all, you know, and a whole other thing. Here's the thing too. I looked up D-Matrix to see if I can actually find out what the fuck this is. I don't know. I found a website about D-Matrix. I found a Facebook page. That's a one-pager to define it as an acronym. I have not found any type of scholarly definition for a D-Matrix. I have not. Are we talking about Keanu Reeves? I don't know. I don't know. But this lady, she even said that she got dragged through the mud by the mainstream media when she said that in May of last year in front of the House Committee in Columbus, Ohio. Well, guess what? Well, she was talking about, like, you know, how it magnetizes you and people are going to get magnetized and all this other stuff. She said, well, guess what? It's all true. It's all true, people. And on that note, I'm going to open up to the floor so you can answer, atheists, to why this is all true, why you actually are discrediting Dr. Tenpenny, who is not a virologist, who does not create vaccines, who does none of that, but you are discrediting Dr. Tenpenny and dragging her, even though it is all true.
You know,
So
go ahead.
So we actually covered the magnetism part in a previous nonprofit.
We did.
I was there.
I was there too. Yes.
I got to play what is magnetic and what is not magnetic.
Yes.
And you know, good time had by all.
Sure.
And it's amazing. You know, all she said was a bunch of internet buzzwords. It sounded like a completely out of touch CEO trying to talk about, you know, things that she had absolutely no idea, you know. The quantum entanglement, you know, going to the cloud computing and the Internet of Things, you know, synchronizing the synergy and it's like, what the fuck are you even talking about?
She even talked about when the moon was in the 7th house and Jupiter was in Mars, child.
I mean, the thing is that, you know, we actually already have, you know, cyborgs. We really do. And I don't mean even just people with prosthetics, although that is really cool, but anything that augments you. You know, we, you know, first off, 3 of us are being augmented by glasses, you know, but that's, you know, a low end technology. Many of us are augmented by, you know, our little earbuds. We're listening to music, we're talking with our phones and all that. You know, we've got our smartwatches here, you know, has thousands of different sensors on it, and you know, our cell phones, even our cell phones are, you know, wait, what's going on? Oh no,
Jason.
Oh no,
Jason.
Oh no.
Or what's going on, Jason? Oh, holy shit!
Something's happening. Guys, I don't.
It's that COVID vaccine.
It is the COVID. God damn it! It's all true. Jason, we need you back. Come on. Oh damn it! God damn.
We are Pfizer of Borg. Your biological and technological distinctiveness will be added to our own.
It's here. It's finally happened.
It's finally happening.
Well, in times, I guess, y'all. In times.
Man, you know what? That's it. We're just gonna have to end the show because Jason's about to assimilate us. Are you okay?
Guys, what happened?
Are you for a moment you were Locutus of COVID.
What?
You were for a moment you were Locutus of COVID. You really were.
Oh man,
Yeah.
that was weird.
Yeah.
That was weird.
Some weird and wild stuff.
I just blacked out for a second. Anyway,
Ooh,
so what's everyone else think?
Oh my gosh.
Well,
Go ahead, Zach.
I really liked the part where, which again, just for anybody out there that isn't already aware of this, none of the things she said were real. But I liked the part where she listed off a bunch of things that will like now be able to control you externally. And Cynthia mentioned one, like the moon at a certain point in the sky or something. Then there was magnets, and then there was 5G. There's actually more, and I looked up the rest of them. And we've got so doorknobs, not handles. It's very specific.
Okay, gotcha.
The twisty ties that come on bread bags, and then those quote-a-day motivational calendars. So just be on the lookout for all of those.
What about
just
the
as-
demotivational ones? Because those are fun.
That's right. That's right.
I got motivational calendar notifications coming to me every day. God damn it, I'm going to be assimilated.
If you have the vaccine, you might want to,
Shit.
you might want to think about
I was
that.
trying to avoid that. God
Yeah.
damn it. Kelley,
might-
help us out. Help us out.
You might not freak out too much because
Okay.
she is an osteopath. She's not a real doctor.
Oh,
She
Pat,
is
all right.
Osteopaths are chiropractors that work on muscles. That's exactly what they are. So, and you know, her name is Tenpenny, so her word isn't worth that much.
Well, and
I mean, we're giving her our 2 cents, so you know that's
But
that's got to
I'm
count for something.
Well,
Yes.
I happen to know 2 people. One of them, and they're both off camera right now. You, the viewers at home, won't be able to see, but I actually have a physicist on one side and then a virologist on the other. And let me just check real quick. Quantum vaccines, is that how it works, y'all? Oh, they're emphatically, they're laughing on the ground right now. It's so silly.
Are they quantum entangled so that they have to agree with each other?
Yes.
Okay,
That's
I
how
was
it
just
works.
making sure.
That's how it works. So
My goodness.
Oh my gosh.
The Tenpenny. First off, you need to holler at 50 cents so that you can get a full dollar. Cause what in the flern are you getting your information?
There was a lot of nonsense there. I couldn't even weed through it to make a coherent sentence, you know. But I
it's all
did want to
true.
get hooked up to the Internet of Things. I think that would be really cool if we could get hooked up to that.
To the Internet of Things. Is that also part of the Matrix?
As a security expert, I gotta tell you, you don't want that.
You could talk to somebody's coffee pot, though. That'd be kind of cool. I mean, you know, that'd be nice.
If I can talk to my coffee pot to brew itself without me doing anything. Oh, actually, that is a thing.
Yeah, no, that is
a thing. That is a thing. Okay, that's a thing. Oh, guys, I wanted to point out this one thing, though. Not the Internet of Things, but it was on the internet, and it was a thing that was on the internet. There was a reply to the tweet that Right Wing Watch put out concerning Tenpenny's. There should be a song for that. Claims concerning the COVID vaccine. One person put out that Tenpenny sells a suite of 4 educational courses on COVID priced at a $79 module though it is currently discounted at $24.95.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So So, you know,
What a deal. And you'll get a set of steak knives.
Absolutely free. Call now. Shipping and handling is included.
Yeah, gotta pay that shipping and handling. Always gotta pay it. Shipping and handling and taxes.
You know, it's oh my God. Just follow the money, y'all. Just follow the money. Oh my gosh. I'm just scared to be assimilated. But let's go ahead and get some final thoughts before we wrap everything. Secular, I love your face right now, so just say stuff.
I got through the headline and I was like, this sounds great to me. I don't know what she's complaining about. So after reading it, after watching the video, I'm just, you know what? I'm cool with it. Like, if I wake up tomorrow and I'm a cyborg, it's a better day. So
Cool. Sounds good to me, Jason.
Oh, I'm so glad that we ended on a high note like this. This is, I mean, people are gonna run with this, and they're gonna be, even more confused, but at the end of the day, it's like the fact that we can laugh at this, it's just such a cathartic feeling. I feel, is it going to cause misinformation? Is it going to cause confusion? Sure, fine, whatever. You can still laugh it off, and most of the people who are going to actually believe in that, they're mostly not making the big decisions, or at least I hope not.
Fingers crossed. And Kelley?
I with secular Rarity, I don't see the problem with it. I want to be a cyborg, right? I'm all up for it. I'm going to go get an extra COVID shot in hopes that it happens. So,
Well, like if we become cyborgs, just think about it. We don't necessarily have to age. Nothing will hurt. We can see
all
our
kinds of advantages.
Yeah, right. We don't need to wear glasses anymore. Like, we don't even have to eat. Like, we will all be in great shape, and we'll just be running around like the Bionic Woman and the $6 Million Man.
We wouldn't even need a headset to join virtual church. I mean,
yes. All type of advantages here. So everybody get vaccinated and get a booster, and then get another booster, and then get vaccinated on top of your booster.
And we'll see you in virtual church.
And we'll see you in virtual church. Well, guys, you know what? This has been like a great discussion. I had so much fun, even with the more serious stuff, right? But I think that it was like all great to actually talk about, and I just would just like to implore our audience to don't stop the discussions here. Join our social media fan club outlets. You can find most of the nonprofits host on the atheist community of Discord by going to tiny.cc/acd Discord, and on Facebook on Facebook at tiny.cc/FBNBP. And if you would like to support the show, you can do so by becoming a patron at tiny.cc/PatreonNP. And if you find yourself already shopping at Amazon, support the atheist community of Austin by shopping at smile.amazon.com and selecting the atheist community of Austin as a beneficiary. And be sure to use that link to help out the ACA. We really do appreciate it. And we value your feedback, people. I want emails. I want comments. I want emails and comments. And you can do that by commenting on the show below. Tell us what you like, what you don't like, and email us at nonprofits@atheist-community.org. So, okay, so right, I need more emails because we will read them, people. We will respond to them. They're all there. Okay, I need that to happen. So, as we wrapped up this dog and pony show, we discussed a lot of shit, y'all. We discussed a lot of stuff. We talked about the West Virginia students actually walking out during a revival at high school. We talked about faith in the metaverse and getting the VR you did going. We talked about Christian nationalism and the January 6th insurrection. And we also talked about, Tenpenny's she's short of $1, y'all. She need at least about 90 more to become $1, but she can't even get there because she was too busy worrying about people who take the vaccine turning into transhumanist cyborgs. And with that said, let's just get some quick final thoughts. Secular, why don't you go ahead and bring us in, and then and let's just go around the table.
I really like my last comment. Let's become cyborgs, and maybe not virtual church, but like virtual hangouts. Like, I'm cool with that. Giant banana and a coffee pot.
Jason. Jason. No.
The COVID got him.
The COVID got him. I thought you got assimilated again, my dude. Don't worry about it, Jason. We just know that we believe everything you say. Don't become assimilated again. Just saying. Kelley.
Well, I had a great time being here. I really appreciate it, and I want to encourage everybody to go join the Fan Run Discord if they get a chance to. Come on over and talk to everybody there. It's a great crowd.
Exactly. Yes, guys. Again, get on Discord and let's talk some more and all that other great stuff. And
I'll
thank
be
you,
the giant
everyone.
banana.
You be, and I'll be the coffee pot that actually talks to myself to make myself brew. And with that, everybody, thank you again for tuning into another episode of the Nonprofits. We appreciate you actually coming back for more and more discussion. And on that note, we are out of here.
Watch Talk Heathen live Sundays at 1 p.m. Central. Visit tiny.cc/YTTH and call into the show at 512-991-9242 or connect to the show online at tiny.cc/callth.